Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go. Bass in your face. Bass in your face.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Uncommon Sense with Jose Negron. Now, for the benefit of those of you who are not familiar with the channel or watching this channel for the first time, the reason why it is called Uncommon Sense because here on this platform, we discuss everyday issues where we try to find logical solutions. But not everyone uses logic. So for that reason, it is called Uncommon Sense. I also happen to have another channel, a much smaller channel, called Latina Diaspora, where I would discuss issues pertaining to Latinos living in the United States. Now, the link is in the description. Okay. First of all, I just want to let everyone know that I'm live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. And the subscriber mode has been enabled, meaning if you're not a subscriber and if you wish to enter a comment in the chat, you'll need to subscribe to the channel. As always, I want to give a huge shout out to all those who've already subscribed to the channel, whether you've been a supporter from the very beginning or just recently joined. I really appreciate your support. I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who follow me on social media. And I also want to give a huge shout out to all those who allow me to enter in devices and those who watch from the clouds, even the haters. So what I'm going to ask you to do, if you have not done so, I'm going to ask you to please subscribe, like, and set the bell notification to all. So therefore, whenever I do produce content, you will have the opportunity to catch it live or catch it on the playback. Now, tonight we're going to have what I call open discussion. Now, what is open discussion? I'm going to be talking on several topics of which I'm going to express an opinion. Of course, the audience will have an opportunity to express their point of view regarding each topic that I will discuss. Also, the audience will have an opportunity. If there's anything that they want me to discuss, I will do my best to discuss it. There might be some topics where I may not have a great deal of knowledge, and I will acknowledge that. Okay. Before I continue, let me just state for the record that the link to join the panel has been pinned. Should anyone at any point wishes to hit the link and join the panel and opine regarding the topic or topics in question, they may do so. However, if I have never seen you before and I've never heard from you in any platform, I will insist that you come up in the backstage to make sure that you don't flash anything inappropriate, which will cause the people of YouTube to take down the stream. Okay. And I see here we already have a comment. Good evening, Don Armando. Thank you very much for stopping by. And let me let everybody know that Don Armando has his YouTube channel, so I'm going to ask that you show some love. Check out his content, subscribe to his channel. Okay. First of all, let me just state an update regarding my health. Today was the first time I was actually be able to go outside for any length of time without a cane, and I was walking pretty okay. Okay. Um, at this point, I have range in my knee. Um, at this right now, I'm focusing on strengthening my left knee. For the benefit of those of you who are not familiar, June the 28th, I underwent a total knee replacement on my left knee, which caused me to be away from work for for a good amount of time. Hopefully, by the end of next week, I'll be able to go back to work, and my sabbatical, so to speak, will be over. So, and of course, I truly appreciate all the love and all the support that I have received from multiple sources and from multiple groups and from multiple environments. So I really do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Now, with that being said, I know I promised not to get too much into politics, but unfortunately, there is still a lot of stuff going on. Okay, right now, um, there's there's scheduled to be a debate between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump 2 weeks from tomorrow. So right now they're trying to finalize all the details as far as what will happen or what won't happen during the debate. And of course, there's some speculation that Donald Trump may decide not to participate in any of the debates. I do hope that it is not true. I think the American public has the right to know um, what is the hopes and plans of each candidate as far as what is their vision of the United States. Um, Also, it will be an opportunity to see the contrasting platforms, the contrasting ways that each person conduct themselves during the debate. Now, in all fairness, the only debate that I saw was the vice president debate of 4 years ago with the then Vice President Mike Pence, of which she kind of requested that Mike Pence muted himself while she speaks. Okay. And of course, each candidate do have a lot of questions which needs to be answered. I'm sure there's going to be questions regarding Kamala Harris, regarding her, her role, if any, regarding the situation with the migrant crisis that's been going on in this country for years. And of course, other questions that be raised with Donald Trump regarding some of his rhetoric. Also, as far as his personal attacks regarding Kamala Harris and all the nicknames that he has called her, calling her everything but a child of God. However you might feel about Kamala Harris, the fact of the matter is she was the district attorney for San Francisco. She was the district attorney for the state of California. She was the junior senator of the same state. And she's currently the vice president. So it's not like she's not done anything as far as politics are concerned. And of course, they're going to try to attach to Kamala Harris some of the failures of the Biden administration because she was part of that team. Okay. Again, these are valid questions that both candidates will need to address. Okay. But I do think, excuse me, excuse me, I do think this is going to be a very close election. Okay. Because even though up to this point, Kamala Harris has waged a very successful campaign. Okay. She's definitely raised a lot more money than Trump has. But still, there's still American citizens that know very little of her. Okay. And there are those that consider her to be too far to the left. Now, in all fairness, she does hold positions which I disagree with. Some of them I have stated. I am pro-life. Okay. However, I don't believe in a complete abortion ban. I think it should be made available for those women who are the victims of rape, where the mother's life is in danger, or whether this is in the case of incest. Okay. And the reason why I feel this way because these are not ordinary situations. Okay. No respectable person or no respectable woman will be willing to be, how can I say this? Someone assaulting their body in that fashion. Not to mention the fact, there's the risk of excuse me, sexually transmitted diseases. Okay. Personally, I don't believe in abortion, but one thing that is good about about our country is that we can have different views and we can disagree and we can discuss it respectfully. One thing that people seem to forget about Trump, that at one point he was pro-choice, then he became pro-life. Now he's talking about he's going to try to protect reproductive rights. I mean, basically, Trump has gone all over the place regarding this issue. And it has to do with the fact that he's trying to get himself reelected. And sometimes people will say anything in order to get themselves elected. And to be perfectly honest, I have more respect for people who are pro-choice and been constantly pro-choice, and that they can articulate their views than someone who's one day pro-choice, then one day pro-life, then one time, and then revert to what I call flip-flopping. I have very little respect for people who flip. Now, people can, as times go on, people can have different views. People can adjust. Like myself, at one time, I did not believe in abortion under any circumstances, including the circumstances that that's alluded to. However, in the course of time, I gained more knowledge, and also to keep it 100 regarding what happened as it's pertaining to my own family regarding their choices. Um, my mother, God rest her soul, um, she was involved into what's called a, I'm trying to think of the term. Um, okay, she became pregnant at 39, which is considered high risk pregnancy, and there was a lot of risk involved. And she was advised by the physician to terminate the pregnancy. So my mother, um, taking into consideration what her doctor said, uh, made a choice to continue with the pregnancy and brought the child to term, and which produced my younger brother. My sister also had involved in a high risk pregnancy, but she chose the option of terminating the pregnancy because of the concern that if she was to carry the child to term, not only could she could have died, possibly the fetus could have died as well. Um, of course, my mother was not pleased with the decision that my sister made. In my part, I look at it this way. Both my mother and my sister made choices. Okay. My mother chose to carry the child to birth. My sister chose to terminate the child. And I don't feel that what my mother did was right or what my sister did was wrong. What they both did, they both made their choices based on the information that they have, with the knowledge that they have, and they govern their actions accordingly. I know there are people that cannot see this, but I think you have to bear in mind with any major issue, particularly when it comes to reproductive rights, there's very few areas that black and white. There's a lot of gray areas. Okay. And then to be fair, when Roe v. Wade came into being in 1973, we didn't have the medical knowledge that we have today. Okay. And I speculated, but I think part of the decision was made based on the health information that's available now. Then, well, in the almost 50 years, we have gained a great deal of knowledge, and a child can be delivered as early as 20 weeks with risks. Okay. Where I have an issue is that when they decide to terminate the pregnancy as a form of birth control. Okay. There are over 30 different means of birth control available. Okay. There are condoms. Then you have the diaphragm. You have the IUD. Um, you also have abstinence. But when it comes to this topic, it does get personal. It does get emotional. And one thing we have to conceive is that both sides of the equation have valid points. Do I agree with a lot of them? No. But they both sides have valid points. And my point of view is this. As much as I personally disagree with uh, forms of preventing pregnancy, um, if you have those devices available and you teach the proper use, that will reduce the need for to terminate the pregnancy. That is just my point. That is just my point of view. I don't agree in a complete abortion ban. Okay. Nor do I agree. Nor do I agree with um, doctors should be held criminally responsible. Okay. How can you criminally charge a physician for performing a service that until now was the law of the land? Okay. As much as I disagree. But what bothers me is the Democrats had almost 50 years to codify reproductive rights, and they failed to do that. All of a sudden, they're trying to codify it now. Okay, my question to the Democrats: Why didn't you guys try to codify reproductive rights for almost 50 years? That's a good question, and I wish there was a good answer. But that is just my humble opinion. Okay, and we can agree or disagree. That's perfectly fine. What I think is important is we have to be willing to have the discussion and hear both sides. Now, I'm happy to say things have been relatively quiet here in these YouTube streets. Okay. I mean, there haven't been a lot of beefs been going on. I'm happy to hear about that. Of course, I am mindful that these beefs can happen at any time. Okay. Because we don't know what the heck is going on in some people's lives. We are not aware of the internal conflicts that other people have. I'm happy to say that things are quiet so far. Maybe they decided to enjoy the last few days of summer. I don't know. Or maybe they have other things that are on their mind. Okay. One of the things I've always said, and I always agree with, that if it was left up to me, anyone wishes to have a YouTube channel, they have to undergo a psychological evaluation to make sure that they are all there. Okay. Because one thing we all have to bear in mind is that as YouTube creators, we all gotta have haters. People are gonna hate our content, or people are gonna hate the people that we choose to associate with. Okay. And one thing if you are thinking about becoming a YouTube creator, you need to have a thick skin. Okay. And accept the fact that you're going to be ridiculed, you're going to be criticized. Uh, People are going to say nasty things. People that are going to call you everything but a child of God. And the bottom line is you need to have thick skin. Okay. And also bear in mind that this is not a sprint. This is a marathon. Now, why do I say that? I say that because in order to have a successful platform, you need to dedicate the time to create content. Also, you need to dedicate the time to do research. Also, trying to find topics of which hopefully your audience will enjoy. And of course, trying to expand your audience. Okay. Which means you might do things differently. You might do a couple of things that outside of your comfort zone and try new things. And at times you're going to succeed, and at times you're going to fail, and that's perfectly fine. The key is to be consistent and produce content on a regular basis. You're going to have weeks where you're going to have people in your section putting a lot of comments. You're going to have weeks where you're going to have people on your panel to express their point of view. You're also going to have weeks when you're not going to have a lot of activity in the comment section, and you're the only one on the panel. Okay. And you cannot be afraid of that. But just bear in mind, be consistent. But just as important, be true to yourself. Okay. And what I mean by that, don't try to be other YouTube creators just in the hope that your channel will grow. Okay. It doesn't come across as authentic. And among the decisions that I've made, I chose not to be like other content creators. I chose to be myself. Okay. Warts and all. Okay. Good evening, Irby. Thank you very much for stopping by. So tonight, this is open discussion. So basically, I'm just discussing things that are on my mind. I started a course with ladies' condition with health. Then I went into politics. And now I'm talking about how things are relatively quiet here in these YouTube streets. Of course, we all know 1 minute could be quiet, the next minute, it could be people fussing over who knows what. Okay. Of course, it's been my philosophy that whenever there's a beef, don't get involved. Okay. First of all, because with all due respect, it's not my concern. Number one. Number two, I can make the situation worse by getting involved. So therefore, if they're not mentioning me in any way, shape, or form, why should I even bother? Or for that matter, why should I even care? Okay. I got more important things to be concerned about than these YouTube beefs. Okay. Now, in all fairness, sometimes they can be kind of comical. Okay. particularly when it's about two YouTube creators that cannot stand each other and call each other names. I mean, everything but a child of God. I mean, it's funny when you think about it. Yep. And one thing I've noticed that a lot of the YouTube creators have been absent. So maybe okay, could be maybe they're taking a sabbatical. Maybe they have other things to be concerned about. I mean, that's totally up to them. And again, this is something that anyone that's seriously considered to be a YouTube creator or any type of creator is that it takes time to develop your content. It takes time to create content. It also takes time to generate an audience. And I see here we have a guest. So let me just state for the record that the views of those who appear on the panel are not necessarily those of the host of the channel. Any attempt to copy the material without the consent of the host is prohibited. By appearing on the call, you waive your rights to the image. Some of the views speak for whole, may be considered offensive to some viewers. If you do not like the content, you can block the channel. And now we're going to bring in our guest. Good evening, Ramon.
Hey, good evening, Don Jose. How you doing?
Okay, guess what? It is now 117 days until the first day of winter. Yeah.
Okay, Jose, I know that it's your channel, but if you're gonna start going on and on about the weather, I'll see myself out.
Okay.
Let me know.
All right.
I know. You love the cold. I'm here already lamenting the fact that soon enough it's gonna start to get a little bit. It's gonna cool down, which is okay, but I don't want it to get all the way cold. I hate that. What's going on, Herbie? What's up?
Well, tomorrow, Wednesday is going up to 90 degrees.
That's nothing. That's
And
nothing.
then also a heat advisory.
That 90 degrees is not a heat advisory. 90 degrees is nice. 90 degrees is just out for a walk, taking in the breeze, the slightly warm breeze, taking
Not
the
here in New,
slightly
not here in
warm
New York.
air.
Not here in New York.
No,
That's a heat wave.
no, I know it depends on where you or where you are at or where you're from, what you're used to. Because I mean, I saw a video. I came across a video in which there was this guy from England, and because there was some talk about the comparisons between the Europe and the United States when it comes to the weather, and this guy from
Mhm.
England was talking about that in England is considered a heat wave when it is like 75 degrees, above 75 degrees. That to them is a heat wave. That to them is hot.
It is. It is a
And
excuse me, but it is a heat wave.
no, it's not. And that same guy from England was acknowledging, because he had been here to the States, he was acknowledging that here we set we set the air conditioners to 70 to 75 degrees as to the lowest temperature that we will want the kind of like the conditions inside our households to be, which it happens to be the setting that I have on right now. I mean, when I turn on the air conditioner, I set it at 75. That's good enough for me. Anything lower than that, I start feeling chilly, and I don't want that. And but
Well,
75 degrees to them in Europe, that's considered a heat wave.
well, you know me. When I turn on the air conditioner, I set it to 65 or 7.
Yeah, I will be shivering. I will be shivering at 65 degrees. No, I will have to put on a jacket, at least a windbreaker type. Yeah, no, that's too much. 75 degrees for me, that's good. And 90
Well,
degrees is not hot. 90 degrees, I can walk around under the sun all day and not even get a tan because
well,
it's not hot enough.
Well, here in New York, they're advising people at 90 degrees to stay indoors, if
Uh-huh.
possible, with the air conditioning on and drink lots of fluids.
Ah, I will understand that for here when it goes all the way up to 108. Yeah, that will apply. That will apply. What you're talking about, that will be necessary. But 90 degrees, no. When I was a kid, I will be out all day at 90 something degree weather, and I never got dehydrated.
Well, I'm not going to be going out on Wednesday
Hmm.
because you know why.
Yeah, well, you're still recovering. You're recovering, so you need to rest.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, today for the first day, I went outside without a cane.
Oh, good. That's
So
good.
what I did was I had a foldable cane in my bag in case I needed it.
Mm, that's good. That's good. No, that's good that you're out and about, moving. That's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at this point, I think I have close to full range of my knee right now. I'm just trying to get my knee to get these stronger.
Mm-hmm. All right. All right. That's good.
I don't know if you've been following politics, but there's been some discussion whether or not Trump is going to debate Harris on September the 10th.
We have talked about it already. I mean, he seems to be dogging her. I mean, he's making a whole bunch of excuses because he doesn't wanna debate Harris, and he's talking about that there was already a coup d'état. He's calling that a coup d'état. The fact that um, Biden is not going to be running anymore, and she's going to be running. But understand that one of the functions of a vice president is taking over for the president is necessary. And since Biden is not going to be running anymore, I do agree that there should have been contenders in the Democratic Party who will try to run also for president. I agree. There should have been contenders, but since there weren't any, I mean, who else? Who else was going to step up and try to run um, for president for the Democrats? I mean, I don't know of anybody, and there was nobody. If
Well,
there, if
one of
there
the
had been somebody else, yeah, of course, but there wasn't anybody. Yeah, go on, go on.
one of the concerns that the Democrats have that they might have an open convention where it can get very messy.
Hmm.
But I'll say this much: I think the DNC did an excellent job with their convention. I don't know if you actually saw any parts of it.
I saw parts. I saw parts. I saw and parts of when they did the roll call. I like the way they did that. I mean, it was actually somewhat entertaining. I mean, because they did that. It was kind of like a celebration. It was a celebration. I don't see anything wrong with that. Yes, it was about politics, but it was done in a fairly celebratory manner, where there were highlighting different delegates and the pledging of the votes. It wasn't done in a dry, boring manner. They had music playing, something that a song that had to do with the state, and um, they had a DJ for that and all. And it was done in a fairly celebratory manner, and I don't see anything wrong with it. um
Yeah.
so the presentation of it was actually really good, um and many of the speakers, the ones you will if this makes any sense to you, the the speeches that I heard that were the most encouraging for me were the ones that were done by the Republicans, because there were several Republicans, lifelong Republicans, that were actually at the DNC speaking. And they were the ones, those were the speeches that I found the most encouraging, because I don't need to be encouraged to vote for Harris, by listening to a speech by a Democrat. That okay, that goes without saying. That's easy. But hearing speeches from Republicans encouraging people to vote for the Democratic ticket was actually fairly encouraging.
Well, one thing I noticed that in the Republican convention, you
Mhm.
did not see George W. Bush speak. You did
No.
not see Mike Pence speak. You didn't see any of the Republican candidates or things of that nature. You
Mhm.
did not see any Democrats speaking in favor of Donald Trump. However, you saw a large group of Republicans, many of them who were part of the Trump administration, talking about how people should vote for Kamala Harris.
Yes, yes. I mean, and one of the better speeches that were there was uh, by the politician from Georgia. He was good. Ana Navarro was really good,
Yeah,
and she's a Republican, and um, she was full on endorsing Harris and telling. She told a little bit of her story because she's from Nicaragua. In Nicaragua, well, they have been dealing with the political situation over there, and how they accuse Harris of being a communist, and Ana Navarro was taking real issue with that because she knows what that is.
yeah,
She knows what communism is, and she was making the comparisons as to how in dictators they put their family in positions of power, and how they cancel out elections when they don't like the result of it, which is something that you and I have talked about before, which is kind of basically what happened in Venezuela, even though the opposition the opposition got like 70% of the vote, and he still he still wouldn't step down. And there are leaders from the neighboring countries that are telling him, you need to step down, you lost. But nope, he's trying to stay where he is. And my understanding is, I heard a theory that he's not going anywhere because there are superpowers that need him there because of the access to the oil. Um,
mhm,
but what Ana Navarro was talking about was very much on point, and she's a Republican, and she was endorsing Harris.
yes.
Hmm.
But one thing that troubled me. Now, during Tim Walz's acceptance speech,
Hmm.
he gave a huge shout out to his kids.
Hmm.
Okay, and he had his only son who's 17 years old,
Yeah.
and he has multiple disabilities, among them a nonverbal learning disability. So he got up, and he was very emotional, and he had tears in his eyes, but it
Yeah.
was tears of joy because he was expressing his love for his father and the pride that he might become the vice president of the United States. And the right people like Ann Calder ridicule is what when they did it, calling him a whole bunch of names and things of that nature, and actually making trolling someone that has multiple disabilities.
Hmm. Hmm. It tells you something about the kind of people that they are. They're real shitty people. They will actually go in and make fun of a young man with a learning disability because he was getting emotional about how proud he was of his dad, and they will clown him for it. It tells you something about how these people all are, the
Yeah,
the kind of character or lack of character that they have.
yep, that's true. I mean, that's something I discussed last week because I mean, look, it takes a very type of gutless behavior when you have to ridicule a 17-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
um, calling him weird when he has a disability and all he's doing is expressing admiration for his father.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they really didn't have anything against Tim Balls and targeting his family. That's real shitty to do. That's a real shitty thing to do. I mean, um, you want to talk about him? You want to talk about Tim Walls? You want to criticize something about Tim Walls? Criticize him, but don't be targeting his family. That's messed up. I don't recall back in the back in the day when uh back in 2008. You remember John McCain and Sarah Palin. Sarah Palin had a son with Down syndrome. I don't recall the Democrats making fun of him. I mean, that would have been real shitty to do, making fun of his son who has Down syndrome. But here we have these MAGAs because I don't think all of the Republicans will have done that. But so I'm gonna put the blame on the MAGAs. Um, Making fun of a young man who got emotional because he was proud of his daddy, and they're clowning him for it.
But you know what? It just shows the contrast. Okay, I don't know if you recall, Ramon, the 2008 election at a rally at John McCain.
Hmm.
He had to correct some of his own people because they were talking crap about Barack
Yes,
Obama, saying that he
I
was a
remember.
Muslim, saying that people should fear him, and things of that nature. And John McCain set the record straight. No, he
Yeah,
said that Barack Obama was a decent human being. It's just that we have disagreements in where
yes,
this country should go.
yes, I remember. I saw that. I mean, to his credit, John McCain actually corrected because it was kind of like a middle-aged lady who got up and wanted to ask a question, and when she got the mic, started saying that we shouldn't vote for Obama because he was an Arab, something along those lines. And McCain actually corrected him and said that he was a decent man, and like you said, that they have um, disagreements and they have worked before because before running for president, Obama was already in Congress. He was already uh, working in Washington. He had already been in Washington for some time. And he
Mhm.
and John McCain had already knew each other and they have worked together from their sides of the aisle, if you will. Um, but she wouldn't say anything bad about him, which is something to his credit. Being a Republican alone doesn't make you a bad person. But you got right now this MAGAs that are MAGAs that are double clown a kid for being proud of his daddy and it's cheating. It's a bad. It shows something about their character. And the whole
Yeah.
thing with Sarah Palin.
And
I mean,
the thing was, yeah.
yeah, go on.
And you see, the whole thing was at the time, John McCain was way behind in the polls. He could have gotten into the gutter, but no, he chose to to correct some of his own people.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Again, to his credit, having integrity.
Yeah. And not only that, but one of the last things that John McCain did before he passed away, do you remember in 2017 where there was a vote to try to do away with the Affordable Care Act?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
And he was the one
uh-huh.
he was the one that voted against doing away of the Affordable Care Act. Okay,
Yeah,
and a few months after that, he passed away.
yeah, yeah. He will be well remembered, and credit to him. Credit to him. Rest in peace. Credit to him for doing that because he understood. He was able to be objective enough to understand that there was a benefit to it. There was a benefit to for people to have access to healthcare because that alone should be more accessible in this country. And maybe if the United States didn't have the foreign policy that it has, the United States will be able to invest more in its people, not in the welfare, in the healthcare of its people. I mean, because there are first world nations that are already doing it, and they're doing it better, even at a lower cost too. Because you talk something about kind of like nationalized healthcare, then the whole communist talk starts here. Because it's kind of like a fear mongering thing. They don't realize that they forget that there are other nations, first world nations, that are already doing nationalized healthcare, and they're doing it well. It is working. It could be done here well too, but
Well,
they're not gonna wanna do it because here healthcare is for profit.
yeah. Well, what people they don't understand is that when you go through any type of procedure, okay, if you don't have medical coverage, it can run into not just thousands of dollars, but
Mhm.
hundreds of thousands of dollars if
Yeah,
you're
you're
not
gonna
careful.
end up in the hole economically, financially. Yeah. Hmm.
So, now I think should Harris become elected, I think that's part of the things that they want to do is make healthcare more affordable.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what's on your mind, Ramon?
What's on what? What's on my
What's
mind? You
on your
say?
mind?
No, no, no. It's just I wanted to. Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like what Herbie is talking about. Certain European countries that the healthcare is more nationalized. I don't know how well it's working in Canada, where they do have that too, but they might have certain difficulties, certain complications in what they do. But what they do is they might uh, um, send a patient if they don't have the means to do a certain test for a person, for a patient in Canada. What they do is that they send them to Detroit. They send them to somewhere in Michigan where they can get the attention that they need, and but the Canadian healthcare system still foots the bill for it. So so in a way it's still working. It's just that maybe they have to outsource a little bit of help. I have read a little bit about that. But aside from that, no, really, I just wanted to kind of like come on up and show you a little bit of support because I don't always come up. Sometimes I'm distracted with some other thing, but nothing in particular aside from what you were talking about, and what's going on with the whole political situation, and um, how things seem to be going pretty good for Kamala Harris. Um, I do hear grumblings. I do hear the grumblings that she doesn't really have a platform, but for the most part, are people that they're not watching the rallies, and and they're not or they're not kind of like paying attention. They're not listening, or what was being talked about at the convention. maybe criticism to her because of what's happening in Gaza. Even though I understand that the administration is working on the whole ceasefire thing, but aside from that, no, nothing. Wants to give help, and we, the taxpayers, will have to pay for it. You know what? Trump said that, I'm sure. He also said that
Well,
Kamala is bringing all the illegals on plane by the millions. He also said that. Okay, he says a lot of things.
okay. Well, first of all, there is a platform. Okay. Good evening, Big Cal. Thank you very much for stopping by. And good evening, Kim. I think this is your first time here, and I'm not mistaken. Thank you very much for stopping by. First of all, you may not agree with everything that the Democrats want to do, but they do have a platform. Okay. You just have to like Google and Google the DNC, and you can check you can check the platform. Now,
Mhm.
of course, there's some things I disagree with, mainly when it comes to abortion, but it's like, but there are other things that we can agree with. As far as the undocumented, I mean, that's a very touchy situation. And again, this is a thing, and I don't like to toot my horn, but of all the people that actually dealt with these migrants, I'm one of the few people that actually have dealt with them. So I
Mhm.
think I have a little bit more knowledge when it comes to these people.
Yeah.
And to keep it real, I mean, look, a lot of these, okay, some of these people, what happened was they overstay their visa,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
or when it comes to the migrants or the asylum seekers, I mean, they left their countries because the situation is so incredibly bad that they left their homelands. And of course, this is something that I've expressed my opinion regarding this whole migrant crisis. I think this is one example where Biden dropped the ball.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that part when it comes to the overstaying their visas, I remember when I was in. It was more when I was in Mississippi, not so much out here. But when I was in Mississippi, there were many Hispanics that I would meet that were in the country on some form of visa, on some type of visa, work visa, tourist visa, or something like that. And I will be the first to tell them, look, don't let it expire while you're here. Don't let it expire, because if you let it expire and you get caught with an expired visa, you're gonna get deported. Nobody can help you there. So keep your visa in good standing so you can travel back and forth. If that's what you're doing, whatever, you can go back and forth. Keep your visa in good standing. Don't let it expire. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, there are people that do get their visa. So a wall is not going to help, because most over 50% of the people that come in this country that are immigrants, they're actually coming in legally. But many of them let their visas expire and they become undocumented, and they're subject to deportation if they get caught. So a wall isn't going to help that 50 something percent. It's not, and it's not. It's very little that it is going to have with the remaining 40 something percent that are trying to come in illegally, because
Mhm.
a wall is an immovable object. So if you look at it, if you can look at it, eventually you can walk along the wall until you find a gap. Eventually you're gonna find a gap, because there is no 2,000-mile wall. And if it's not a great idea because of the location, it being next to a river, part of it will be built on very arid rocky land. Part of it will be like almost on a river, and part of it will have to be built on privately owned land. Because I remember when Trump started with the wall talk, for all the invasions that they're talking about here in Texas, people that own land at the border, Texans that own land at the border, were quickly to start preparing lawsuits to prevent eminent domain confiscation of land, because that's what it will
Mhm.
involve. To build a wall along the border here in Texas, a lot of the land that is right on the border is privately owned. So it will take exercising some eminent domain confiscation of land to build a wall. And there were already Texans that are right on the border where where all the invasions are happening, and they're saying, hell no, I don't want a wall on my land.
Yeah. And the fact of the matter is that money could have been more properly spent hiring more immigration judges
Hmm.
and hiring more personnel to guard the border. Because part of the problem is
Yeah.
there is a huge backlog of immigration cases.
Yes. Yeah, kind of like people that specialize when it comes to representation and judging to expedite the process. I agree. Absolutely, I agree. That there should be more personnel on the legal side of things to help process this stuff. Because true, like I was, it was mentioned, like there are all of these crossings. There are more crossings and there are more apprehensions. So you can say that there is all these open borders on a democratic administration. I disagree. I disagree, because it's something that I have found is that yes, there seems to be um, more crossings, but what's happening? It appears that there are more crossings because there are more apprehensions, and it seems like Border Patrol is doing their job better under this administration because there are more apprehensions, and there are more deportations, and there are more removals, and there are more returns, and that's what is happening under this administration. And we have talked about it before, because there is the notion that the Democrats don't deport anybody, and that's not true. You and I have talked about it before.
Uh-huh.
I have shown them the numbers.
Yes, I agree.
Hmm.
One thing I do see more and more often is that you see women in the subways. They're selling candy or they're
Yeah,
selling food.
yeah,
Okay, um, trying to you know make a living. Okay,
yeah,
and a lot of the times they have their children with them. Okay, uh, which is a risk because we all know that there are sick people out there
hmm,
um, that might try to harm these poor ladies or their offspring.
yeah. Um, are there uh, have there been new cases of this new COVID strain? Because I understand that there is like a new strain floating around
That is,
in
in fact,
Latin.
that's what I've been told. In fact, I'm gonna be discussing it tomorrow night.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, it seems like some portions of COVID is making a comeback. In fact, last week I visited my job and they're talking about having the employees wear masks again.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. Well, I hope that if it gets down here, even though I wasn't subjected to restrictions aside from wearing a mask, that was it. Um, but I hope it doesn't. Hopefully, it doesn't get as bad as it did, because there were many people that did get it at my job. There were several people that had to spend a few days out of out of the out of my workplace, because they did get it. But aside from, at least, well, aside from wearing a mask, we weren't having to do anything much different than what we have already been doing, because I already had to wear kind of like a smock and hair nets and gloves. I already had to be fairly well protected given what I do. Um, but yeah, maybe maybe have a mask ready if necessary, which is fine because I want us to be safe.
Well, when de Blasio was mayor, I mean, it got to the point when you have to get vaccinated or else you will be terminated from your job.
Yeah, that's messed up. That's messed up. We didn't have that here. It was like 3 years ago. I did get the one of the vaccines because I was gonna travel. Um, but that's the only one that I got, and that's something that I chose to do. But that was because I was gonna travel. But I don't have any mandate. Nothing about that is mandated here in Texas, fortunately. But I can understand that happening in your city because in your city, wow, it's so populated, and any pandemic, anything airborne will spread so quickly. So I can understand it to a degree.
But one thing they did do, I mean, during COVID was they cleaned the trains very frequently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean, even though, okay, I admit we do have a slight rodent problem in New York, and
A small what? Don't start. Don't, a small what?
a slight rodent problem.
Oh, you mean those monsters that you call rats that are the size of possums? That's what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about the little mices that we have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, right. They're the size of possums and
Yeah, but in
raccoons.
all fairness,
So
they're more afraid of us than we are of them.
you expect me to believe that? They stand their ground. They'll stand their ground. They'll try to bite you, and they'll steal your pizza.
No, no, no. In fact, if anything, they scatter when they see people.
Hmm. They might walk away slowly, like in that video that I have shown you about the rat in the bodega. That sucker is as big as a small dog.
Oh,
Yeah.
come on. Okay, you know what? I have only seen one mouse in Parkchester.
Okay. Okay. Here you go. Here you go. One little mousey, right? One little mousey in all of Parkchester.
Yes.
Stop.
I mean, I've seen squirrels.
Well, I see squirrels down here all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. But in all truth, they're more afraid of us than we are of them.
Yeah, sure. Sure, sure, sure. Okay. I mean, the cats don't mess with them because those rats are so big.
Okay, I admit some of them do get a little on the chunky side.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they're eating good out of the trash over there. I mean, they get so big that they walk. They can't run anymore. They just walk and they just hobble along, walking away. They walk slow because they're so fat. Yeah.
Mhm. Okay, I admit, I might have seen one slightly big rat, maybe.
Uh-huh. Sure you do.
I mean, but you need to visit New York in the wintertime.
No. 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 No thanks. Not during the cold, not during that polar bear cold weather that you like so much. No,
Okay,
not doing it.
first of all, 40 degrees, that's not wind, that's not polar bear. That's not even, in fact,
I have to wear a thick jacket already at 40 degrees. What you talking about?
I mean, look, I remember one day I was in Albany, it was 14 degrees outside, and my coat was unbuttoned, and I didn't feel cold.
Okay. So you say.
No, but think about it. You can go to Rockefeller Center, you can see the Christmas tree, or
Mhm.
you can go to Times Square and watch the ball drop.
Okay. Sure. I'm sure. All right.
Or you can actually stand outside and watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade while the temperatures are in the 30s.
Okay.
Man, you don't know what you're missing not being in New York at that time of the year.
Nah, well, if it involves being in the cold, then I'll keep missing. I'll keep missing out. Mhm.
Well, I know you got to find it hard to believe, but there's a group called the Polar Bear Club that actually go to Corleone on New Year's Day to get into the water.
Yeah, I'm sure that your people's. I'm sure that's your thing. And that's all right. I'm not trying to do all that. No, thank you. Nope.
Um, anyway, maybe for once we'll have a nice cold winter. Wouldn't that be great?
Mm, you always have to call. You're gonna be having cold soon. What you talking about?
We haven't had a cold. When? When?
Last 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 winter? You mean when?
20 degrees is not, low 20s is not cold in my book.
Uh, Stop. 20 degrees is cold. What you talking about?
I mean, come
Uh,
on.
Running game on me. Don't
I
do
mean,
that.
come on. Just picture this. Imagine a
Uh
good
huh.
cold wintry day when the temperature's in single digits. Wouldn't that be beautiful?
No. No thanks.
And particularly when you're waiting, say, half an hour for the express bus, and you're just sitting there, and the temperature's like 5 degrees, and you're not concerned that it's cold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. Sure.
But it's interesting. Every 4 years, they're talking about Texas becoming blue.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Um,
Texas is mostly red, but in the cities, there are a few blue dots, and Austin is fairly blue. That's kind of like the blue enclave of Texas.
yeah.
Outside of Austin, there are a few blue dots here and there, but the rest of it is fairly it is red. Hmm. But what happens
You,
with Austin is that that's where the Californians move to. That's why it's fairly blue in Austin, because that's where anybody who is from the West Coast, they tend to move there.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you think Ted Cruz is going to win his bid for reelection?
Hopefully not. Ted Cruz is a Trump cook. I mean, a cook. If you know what I mean, a cuckold. You know what that means. That's Ted Cruz. I mean, Trump talks shit about his wife, and he still bows down to them. And Ted Cruz still bows down to Trump.
Hmm.
And Ted Cruz is Trump's bitch. He's not needed in political office. So
Well,
hopefully he doesn't
remember,
win. Hopefully he's on his way out. Hmm.
remember that winter in Texas where it got slightly chilly and the temperature kind of dipped a little
Oh, you
bit?
mean when I was freezing my ass off here, and we didn't have power, and the pipes in people's houses were bursting because of the freeze? It was a disaster. That was a disaster. We were dealing with a environment. That was a natural disaster. That what we dealt with. Yes, I remember. Uh, um, Ted Cruz flew his ass out to Cancun while the rest of us were suffering here with the cold.
Yes. While you guys were dealing with the slightly chilly weather over there.
No, we were dealing with a we were dealing with a polar vortex that was causing a disaster. It was a natural disaster caused by the polar vortex. Stop calling it uh, slightly chilly. Nothing. No, it got cold. It got cold as hell.
Okay, I admit it might have been a day or two when it got, when you guys experienced some slight wintry effects. Okay, I
It
get it.
got well. We were dealing with the sleet, so it made it difficult to move around. I hated it because I couldn't drive. Because of the sleet. It will make it dangerous to do. But yeah. The thing about it, the thing about it here is that if it if there was sleet on ice, it usually will last for like 2 days max, and then it starts to go back to normal. Even though it may remain too cold, but at least we're not having to deal with the ice, not having to shovel snow or anything like that.
Oh,
But yeah, at that time when we were in a state of emergency, what did Ted Cruz do? He flew his ass out to Cancun, so he didn't have to deal with that. To hell with
yeah.
him.
And you know what the Democrats did? They went to Texas and they try to help your fellow Texans with food, clothing,
Yeah.
resources.
You understand the Alexandria Ocasio Cortez was one of the ones that was doing fundraising to help people in Texas for that. Yeah, gotta give her credit for that. Mhm.
Yeah, that's one of the few things I give her credit for. Uh, she is my representative in Congress.
So you are in District 14, I think it is.
Yes, I am.
So but were you better off with the other guy, Crowley? I think it was his name.
You know what? Let's just say politicians are a bunch of crooks altogether.
Okay. Okay. So you don't think Ocasio Cortez has done any better
I
from your
mean, look,
point of
I mean, basically, she's. I mean, you know what it is? She's like she. I see her as like a keyboard warrior. I mean, she'll get tough, whatever, but but in the end, she toes the party line. So,
view? Okay.
but that's just my opinion.
I see.
My opinion in 290 would get you a ride on the subway.
All right.
Speaking about the subway, what did you actually ride the subway when you was in New York?
Yes, because I was staying at an apartment in Queens, and yes, I had to ride the subway, ride the bus. It's so complicated. I didn't have time to learn much about it, and I had to ask about everything and try to get people to point me in the right direction. Where do I go? Which bus do I take? Where is the which subway? Which direction? It was a journey. It was a journey for me because I don't know anything about your subway system. Um, because it is complex. It was an experience, but yeah, I did ride the bus and the subway over there. I didn't have a car. So yeah, it was an experience. I had a chance to go to Manhattan a couple of times from the place that I was staying. Yeah, but it was a combination of having to ride the subway, ride the bus, to be able to move around. So yeah,
And how did you find the air conditioning?
the air conditioning it was okay. It was fine. It was fine. I don't need much when it comes to proper air conditioner because conditioner, considering where I come from, I have to deal uh, with the heat, with level of heat that I have to deal with. In New York, it wasn't so bad.
Mhm.
It was okay. It was okay. It wasn't as hot. It was warm. It was warm. Maybe I will sweat a little bit walking out and about, but I wasn't. Yeah, I wasn't about to pass out because of the heat. So it wasn't too bad.
By any chance, did you see a mousey here and there?
I will admit that I didn't. I'll
See?
admit that I admit that I didn't, but maybe it's because when I was out and about, I wasn't out too late because I know that when it gets later, it was much later. That's when the so-called mouses start to come out, and you go end up in a confrontation with the with a rat that is going to stand their ground or something.
Like I said before, they're more afraid of us than we are of them.
Uh,
Okay.
for each one, for each so-called mousey that you see, you have to count on there being like 1,000 that you don't see. That's kind of like the
Oh, come
ratio
on.
should be something like that. For each one that you see, you have to count that there are 1,000 that you don't see. I think that's fairly accurate. So that's like millions and millions. If you see 100, then that you multiply that by 1,000, and you're gonna.
Okay.
That means that you are near you. There may be 100,000 so-called mouses that you don't see.
Okay, I admit when it comes to the subway system, there might be a total, say, 100 mousies or 200 mousies or,
Ah,
300 mousies, but no more than that.
ah, yeah. Yeah, you go. You need to go somewhere else and run that game. You're gonna be finding like a few five or six rats at the same time. So that means there are gonna be several thousand near you that you don't see.
And of course, New York has its beaches. You
Hmm.
have Orchard Beach, you have Brighton
Oh, okay.
Beach,
Yeah,
you have
yeah. That
Coney Island, Reese
that sewer
Beach.
water. That sewer water. That typhoid sewer water. That what you're talking about, Jose? Nah. Let me go to the
Okay, I
Caribbean and go
admit.
to a real beach.
Okay, I admit. Sometimes in the beaches, it gets to be a little dirty.
Just a little? Just a
Yeah,
little.
yeah, a little. It gets a little dirty now and then. Mm.
Right. Uh-huh. Huh. Okay. Okay. So you say. Oh man.
Well, next month or next summer, I plan to go to the beach. So I'm gonna go to Orchard Beach and experience it for myself.
Well, stay on the shoreline. Don't get in that water. You might catch something.
Nah, I mean, come on. We're talking about the French Riviera of the Bronx.
Right, right, right. Okay.
Okay. Well, anyway, so I'm gonna be talking about COVID tomorrow night. Um, then I'm gonna go on my other channel Thursday.
Right.
Um, so speaking about it, when you gonna be doing a stream?
Let's see if I do something tomorrow. Either tomorrow or on Wednesday. I might do kind of like what you're doing right now, kind of like a open topic type of thing. Not something in particular. Just whatever suggestion, anything that the audience wants to ask, wants to comment, and I'll just do comment on the comment, whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing in particular.
Okay. Well, you have anything else that you want to talk about?
No, actually, I was about to take my leave, and I tell you to thank you. I wanted to tell you that thank you for letting me be on your panel, but because of the time, yeah, I'm getting old too, so I have to go to get to bed. I have to get up very early, and I needed to take my leave for that. But I wanted to thank you for letting me be on your panel and let me participate. Uh, just wanted to give you a bit of a shout out, and a little bit of support, and I'll be on my way out. Appreciate you having me.
Well, thank you very much. And of course, I encourage the audience, the please to check out the channel and subscribe.
Appreciate and shout out to the chat that has
All right.
been that has been there. And once again, thank you for having me. I'll see you on the next one.
All right. Take care. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop to wrap it up. It was interesting. We did talk about a couple of things. Um, One thing when it comes to the this election season, I do think it's going to be a very close election, and you can support whoever you wish. My position has always been and always will be: make sure that you do your due diligence and do research regarding. Uh, Good evening, Georgia. Thank you very much for stopping by. Um, No, actually, tonight I was dealing with open discussion, so it was a little bit everything. Part of it had another health update. Today I was getting around without the aid of a cane for a good portion of the day, and also regarding the situation, regarding the political season. I do think it's going to be a very good, very close election regarding who will become elected. I also think, and I'll continue to state this: whoever you're going to support, make sure that you do diligence and learn as much as you can regarding each candidate. And if you're able to, if you still support it, that's perfectly fine. The main thing, being an informed voter. Okay. And of course, I'm happy to say things are quiet now on these YouTube streets. But then again, we all know that anything can happen. Any beeps can develop left field because there's a lot of stuff we are not privy to. But in any case, I always did enjoy having open discussion because we're allowed to discuss anything in a mature, calm manner. Okay, as long as we can do that, I mean, we can learn from each other. Uh, I will be live tomorrow night at 10 o'clock, where I'm going to be discussing, is COVID-19 making a comeback? So I'm just going to share some information. Um, it's a shame that we have to continue to discuss it, but unfortunately, with people becoming infected, um, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. I will be discussing something on my other channel on Thursday. I'll be I'll announce it tomorrow. But the bottom line is, first of all, do your civic duty, vote, number one. Number two, vote for people that you know in your heart of hearts that you can support. Okay? Be mindful that you're not going to agree with everything with the people who you support. That's fine, as long as you can form yourself and vote intelligently. Yeah, it was a very different time then, particularly here in New York when we was on lockdown and curfews and things of that nature. So, and I think part of the problem is caution fatigue because we've been hearing about COVID since um, 2019. So this is like 5 years into this crisis, what have you. And I think people are getting sick and tired of dealing with the whole thing. But as the Bible said, my people suffer, perish for lack of knowledge. So we will hopefully gain some knowledge tomorrow night. Let's see. Oops. Yeah, to be perfectly honest, I'm trying to stay away from it as well because it gets a little bit too crazy. And look, people are going to support whoever they're going to support. I understand that. And again, all I'm going to say is do some research regarding the person that you wish to support. That's all I'm saying. But in any case, a huge shout out to everyone that's on the chat, and a huge shout out to Ramon for stopping by. Um, so I'm going to close the same way I always close. We must do everything possible to avoid the presence of the mentally and intellectually challenged, because if we fail to do so, we'll be infected by the insanity, uh, the stupidity and massive insanity. I just want to share this. Me and Gigi pretty much made it clear to whom we are going to phone for, so we'll finally say why we respectfully disagree with whom you are voting for. Okay, all I'm going to say is this. You vote whoever you perceive will do the better job. That's all. So I'm going forward. I'm going to try to avoid any more um, discussion regarding politics, at least until it's time to the debate. When next debate, when I'll give my opinion, because it gets to be a little messy after a while. I love you guys too. I mean, look, let's just say we have our disagreements and keep it like that. Okay, as long as we can be agreeable when we disagree, that's the main thing. Okay, it is what it is. And remember, this has never been an echo chamber. It will never be an echo chamber. People are allowed to express their point of view whenever they see fit. And I actually, like, unlike some people, I encourage people who disagree with me to air their opinion as long as they can do it in a respectable way. That's the main thing. So, with that being said, I just want to wish all of you a good night. Take care. Be the best version of yourself. And peace.